Hello everybody. What we're aiming to do this week is something a little bit different during the student presentations that are taking place. What I've created for you is an example tutorial. This is exactly the same as the video tutorial, it's the starting tutorial for VR. It's identical. You can see the same table. What is, however, different is I've created an interesting environment just with a few bits and pieces dotted around the scene. You'll also notice a gun and a grenade because what we're going to be doing is making a shooting and a grenade based experience in VR. One of the things to keep in mind is that the tutorials you're going to be following after this are last year's tutorials. They're on the HC Games Development YouTube channel, hopefully where you are at the moment, and they're in the VR specific tutorials playlist. This video, once it's recorded, should hopefully slot in that spot in the playlist because the VR FPS Part 1 and Part 2 are what I would like you doing during this session. So getting shooting working in VR and getting grenades working in VR as well. Obviously the skills apply to a number of different things as well. Whether you do want a shooting system or grenades in your game doesn't hurt. It's still a skill I would like you to have mastered. I do want to just take this lesson, this video though, to cover what I've put in this scene and how it is different to the video tutorials that you'll see on the channel. In the channel you'll see a different environment, slightly more complex one. But this has still got a lot of the key features in it. If there's an environment that you can use, you have the same type of weapon, which is the M9, and then you've also got a grenade, which is just called Grenade Mark II. I've created colliders for both of those objects. They are not currently rigid bodies, they're not currently grabbable, so you will need to make sure that you follow the tutorial to make them grabbable, and if you cannot remember how to make something grabbable or how to move around, remember you've got the intro to the VR template which is provided there for you. Additionally, what we wanted to be able to do is to understand whether you are on a VR headset or not, how you can test a VR experience even if you don't have a headset. Remember that if you want to make it editable without a headset, you go into Edit and you go to your project settings. The project settings window should look a little bit like this, and under the plugin management, you've also got the VR interaction toolkit. In this toolkit, you can use the device simulator by clicking that box and that will toggle it on, or if you are on a headset, you toggle it and it will obviously go off. While I'm doing this demo, I'm going to show you it without the headset on. While we're here, I would just like to point out as well that under the OpenXR tab, if you are one of those few people that are using a different type of headset to develop at home, this is how you make it compatible with those different types of headsets. This template will only work with the Oculus Touch controllers. If you would like to add any additional ones, such as a HTC Vive or a Valve Index, you can do so just literally by clicking those options and that will add it as your input type. So with Interaction Toolkit selected, there's the device simulator now active. This project will be available on the X Drive, so you can easily access it from there. If I press play now, what I've also got in this template is that under the game view, I've chosen this drop down to say play maximized, just so you've got a bit more screen real estate to work with. There you go, you've lost the inspector and that's just disappeared. Remember that with the device simulator running, WAS and D to move around, and then to control individual controllers, we use either the T button, which will move the left controller, or the Y to operate the right controller. And then U, again, you can see on this UI how that works. U will toggle back to the head-mounted display so you can move around. So if we wanted to make sure we could grab an item, once an object is grabbable, we'll be able to use the G key, which represents grab. And if we wanted to simulate the trigger being pressed, we can do that with the left mouse button. You've also got other buttons as well that you can simulate if you wanted to. But for the purposes of this tutorial, all you're going to be doing is grabbing an object and left mouse clicking in most cases. When it comes to things like the grenade, as the more advanced tutorial, you may need to try and throw that a little bit. But the tutorial gives you an example as to how you can change the throw speed, so you can simulate with that as well. The one thing that is not currently in this tutorial, which I'll add in a moment, is the example zombie. So hopefully that will be in there by the time you download it from the X Drive. Okay, any problems? Do your best to try and solve them all. Good luck.